Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. It's Wednesday, midweek. A few things to get to. First of all, I want to talk about some of the comments that I was reading from the last video. A good friend of the show for a long time, David Harris from out west. David had said, do you have any of those small green S&K sets, you know, and there are some tools that are just iconic, you know, that everybody loves. And this is one of them. I don't know if you've never seen it before. I showed it on the channel, but check it out. I believe this is the set that David was referring to, and this was my dad's set. It's almost complete, and I'll tell you what it is. It's an S&K. They were out of Chicago, Illinois back then. S&K Tools, and they were known for making beautiful sets, and they were just like usually a step above Craftsman or something like that, and they were sold at like TSS. They were sold in stores that you get them. They weren't trucks tools that you had to wait on a truck, and they were known for having their iconic green with the white, and it's so nice. You see these every once in a while. These have become quite collectible, the green and white. I know my buddy 805 Road King, he, every once in a while I see him using a screwdriver set. He must have the whole set, and I always, I'm drooling every time I see it. Now, the only thing that this set doesn't have, I have it somewhere, is the original ratchet. And that's because I guess my dad preferred this ratchet. It likes, you know, I like the release, you know, the release. And anytime you're working on something that's oily or greasy, and you try and get a socket off of here, and it's oiled or you can't do it, you know. So this is really nice to pop that off and to put it on 1, 2, 3, and then it locks on. So that's why he probably had that in here. I don't believe the S&K had a release on the back, but they were known for, like I said, their chrome plating. They had the most beautiful chrome plating, and they still hold up today. S&K sets, you can still get S&K today. And they do have a good warranty. You know, they're supposed to be like a lifetime warranty, things like that. But, you know, these old tools, they lasted forever. And this was in my dad's toolbox for years. And I'm so glad to have it. One of my few green and white S&K screwdrivers. This one here is the set, you know, with the replaceable tips, which I'm not crazy about, but I always love this green and white coloring. Anyway, one other thing I want to point out about this iconic series of ratchets that C has had made for him is, if you look over here on the top here, you can see that's called a ball oiler. You see that right there? And all that is, it's a ball bearing in a brass housing. And if you push down on it, you can see it that it will depress a little bit. And what that's meant for is to oil. You'll see this on machinery, high-end ratchets, you know, tools, things like that. And when you have a oiler, something like this, and you have a little point like that, what's that supposed to do is you're supposed to push this in here against the ball, press it in, and then give a squeeze or two of oil, and that's how you lubricate anything with a ball oiler. You only see them usually on machinery, things like that. You don't see them too often. It's usually on your better equipment. Next up, I was looking through the box of great tools that Brian Ohare sent over here, and I saw this homemade tool that I said, I got to work on this right now. Let me show you. Now, I know you're probably thinking, what the heck? And you know, I've developed a real affection for homemade tools over the years. I don't know why it is, but this was an old square file, an old box file, right? That somebody, you know, the file got worn out. You could see that it has no more bite to it. And what they did is they ground it into a punch. They probably took it over to the grinder, ground it into a punch. And this is a square tip punch, which is good for a lot of things, especially with a lot of the hammers that I'm doing. You have to drive out the eye of the hammer. This is a great punch to have. And it's you know, it's like having knurling on the side. I just love it. And I said, well, I got to clean this up and get it ready because I just fell in love with this thing. So let's get to it. And I'm going to show you what it looks like cleaned up. Here we are in a post wire brush evaluation. You can see how nice it's coming out. Now, the one thing, this is again why you do the post wire brush. You see that crack? I didn't even know. There's a little bit of a, it's just starting to go through here, but that crack's got, you don't want that flying off. So we'll taper it down a little bit. We'll change the profile, but I just, it has such a nice feel to this, you know, and we'll dress up the back. You see the back head here, it's a little pounded, and we're going to make that looking like this was a factory tool. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this repurposed file looked like before we started? And we're calling this project done. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why would you waste your time on something like this? But I have to tell you something. When I see a tool like this, first of all, you got to remember it's a file, okay? So somebody used this file enough to wear it down that it became worn out. That's number one. Secondly, somebody said, you know what? I need a punch. I'm going to file this, grind this down and made it in and use that until it was worn out and broken. And now it's a third time that this tool is being repurposed, fixed up. And if you could feel it, the steel is just unbelievable. Just feels so nice in the hand. Has such a beautiful. I love old files that are repurposed. So I thought this is one of my favorite from Brian. I know he's probably laughing right now, thinking I lost my mind. But isn't that a nice little punch? Square punch. Look at that. Okay. Let's see what else we got from Brian. Now, this is just basically a cleanup, but I guarantee this is going to screw you up like it did me when you see it. So we're going to clean these up. You can see the rust, and we'll do the handles. And you remember how we do the handles. Remember, whenever you have these vinyl handles here, just take an old soda can. This one here was black cherry. I don't know, black cherry soda. But anyway, you take this like this. You wrap it around here like this with the tape. And this way, when the wire brush hits it, it doesn't damage. If you just do tape, it's going to damage it. So we'll take these now. These are, this one here is snap-on. But we're going to wrap these up, and then we're going to get all the rust off, and I'll show you what they look like after. Okay, once again, you know my favorite part. Remember what these 3 pliers look like before we started? And we're calling this project done. I just did a quick cleanup on these. They look real nice, right? But here's the thing. I told you that this was going to mess you up, that it was a little different. Let me show you what's so unusual about these. They are miniature. Have you ever seen a set of pliers this small? I've never. Look, I mean, it's almost small enough that, you know, you can't really, I don't know. Are these, I mean, they're real. They're hardened steel. They're all good steel and everything, but has anybody ever used pliers or anything this small, even electronics? Is there any time you have to get in where it's so small that this, you know, you use your fingertips? I don't know. I just thought they were really cool because they're so small. So that's why I did them up this way. But I knew Brian would get a kick out of it because I'm sure he knew what I was doing before. But isn't that something? Look how little. Can you guess which one of these is full size? Okay, last up in Brian's box of tools, I found this old pair of pliers. I have no idea the make. I don't believe it's a Klein because Klein usually has their forging marks here. But I can't tell, so that's why I got to do the wire brush and then do your evaluation. But I want you to look at these real closely. Let's get some light over here. I want you to look at what it looks like. Now, for a lot of you starting off in the tool restoration hobby, which is like the best hobby there is, you buy a pair of these, you can get these for like $2 or $3 at any garage sale or anything. And you know, it's so funny because people, they feel embarrassed to ask money for rusty tools when we know what's underneath. But you can see here, this one here is really worn out. And the first thing you look for when you get a pair of pliers is you see if there's any excessive wobble, which there isn't in this. And the second thing you look for is the jaws, you know. If the this one was, somebody tried to sharpen it already, but you could see some light through there. We can't really do anything with it. But as a pair of pliers for sheet metal or anything else, that they're good and they're solid. So we can have a lot of fun with these and not worry about it. We can do whatever we want, not worry about screwing anything up. This is what you want to start with when you're getting into restoration. They're a lot of fun. The steel is good and they always come out good. Let's give it a shot. Okay, here we are with our post-wire brush evaluation. We have some good news and some bad news. The good news is that these are indeed Klein pliers. You can see the telephone pole insignia here, the Klein and Sons part of it here through the extensive pitting. And unfortunately, the date code is unlegible. You can see here, right? It looks like there might be a P. I don't know. It's on the corner, and it was a poor stamp. I don't know. And it's only on. Here's the other side here. And again, it looks like an R to me, you know, but an R. But there was, I don't know. I can't read it. So, but then again, like I said, these aren't a pair that's worth you know, any real value, except that what we're going to do to it. This is a $2 pair of pliers that we're going to have fun with. So let's go to it. Now for the third time, you know what my favorite part is. Remember what these Kleins look like before we started? And we are calling this project done. I have to tell you, I always am a fan of Klein because of the... But look at this, huh? Is this not beautiful? I mean, this is... Now, of course, you know, there's no way you're going to keep the lettering on here or anything, but look how nice these came out. And I'm telling you, all the pits... Every pit that was on here is now history. It is super smooth. I even took the extra time to do the inside of here to polish. And I'm telling you, these are just so nice in the hand that you can't believe it. And here's the good thing. Now, these jaws, because they don't touch, they won't be good for stranded wire. But as far as like a lot of wire that I cut, solid core wire... You know, it'll cut no problem. You know, Kleins always do. So that's good. But it won't cut stranded wire because of that small gap. But isn't that beautiful? Aren't these... it just goes to show you, if you're starting off and you want to look for a project that is a fun project to do, and look how nice the backs come out here. If you want to do something, get a pair of Kleins. You really have, and especially the New England style. You know, the other style, the blocky style like this, is a little harder to do because of the angles. But the New England style, it's very forgiving with these curves on the inside, and just a lovely pair, huh? And I did all inside here. These things look totally different than they did before. Really happy with these, and it just goes to show you how Kleins really hold up. And this will be good for another 50 So in closing, it's 2:14 a.m. Only took us 2 hours and 14 minutes to knock those pliers out, which is pretty good considering how they look now, right? A special thanks to Brian Ohare again for another great project. So I'm telling you, there's a box of great stuff. We got a lot of good projects coming up. Thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you have a nice day. Take care now. Bye-bye.